Hi, dear ones. So good to see you today. I am honored to be in your feed wherever you are finding me, and I want to bring a little comfort today. I'm going to talk about going from autopilot to living fully alive, some things that I wish I knew about truly living in my purpose. And listen, it has never been more real to me than in the last week. I know so many of us are carrying heavy hearts right now with everything going on in the world. I feel the same way. Every time we turn on the news, it feels like another tragedy, another loss, really another reminder that life is so fragile. And I have found some comfort in a few things. So before I get into like what I want to share with you as far as teaching today, I just want to share some thoughts about how I have found some hope and comfort in the last week. Um, so Viktor Frankl has a quote in Man's Search for Meaning that says, "Life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but only by lack of meaning and purpose." And I have learned over the years because I've lived in various ways of like where I felt like I was fully living in my purpose and fully alive and extracting the meaning that was there for me, even in my life when there were hard circumstances. And I've lived where I was basically kind of checked out and living on autopilot. And I can tell you that having the mental mindset and emotional skills to stay awake even when it's hard has been one of the biggest gifts that I've given myself. I do think we live in a culture that has us wanting to avoid suffering at all costs, but as believers, I love the scripture that says we rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, endurance produces character, and character produces hope. And I think we make meaning by suffering as believers by remembering the love and sacrifice of Christ. He gave his life so that ours would never be wasted, not even the hard parts. And I do think that that's why this topic is so important to me, why I've been talking about it for years. This is what I coach my clients on all the time, that purpose is not optional. It's our response to the gift he's given us. And I think that the way I think about it and talk about it could be really helpful for you. So that those scriptures have been comforting. I also love anytime I'm feeling this way, I go back to this quote by C.S. Lewis. Um, he has a quote that he gave during a talk during World War II when people were under the constant threat of atomic bombs dropping from the sky. And he says this quote, which I find a lot of comfort in. If we are all going to be destroyed by an atomic bomb, let that bomb, when it finds us, find us doing sensible and human things, praying, working, teaching, reading, listening to music, bathing the children, playing tennis, chatting with our friends, not huddled together like frightened sheep thinking about bombs. They may break our bodies, but they need not dominate our minds. And to me, this is what it feels like to live on purpose, even when things are hard. So last week, after all the news, things going on in every part of the world that are terrifying and hard, things going on in our own country that are terrifying and hard, I have to kind of check out. I spent the whole day with my grandbabies. I spent the weekend with my family. I did a lot of reading, digging into issues that I don't really understand as well as I want to. So I spent a lot of time reading, listened to some podcasts, opened up my scriptures, the things that I think we turn to when things feel hard. And I feel like with so much chaos and uncertainty, it's easy to lose hope. It's easy to live numb. It's much easier to live on autopilot. But what I believe with my whole heart is that you showing up fully to your life, showing up fully with purpose and meaning to whatever you're doing matters more than ever. The world needs women like us who are alive to their calling, anchored in hope no matter what, and living intentionally by design. And I can think of so many times in my life when it felt hard and impossible to do that when I was going through my own heartaches and struggles. For a lot of midlife women, it's happening when your kids are leaving and you've got so much of your um, purpose tied into that, or when you're having a lot of changes health wise or physically and you start to feel really disconnected from what it is you're supposed to be doing in the world. So I kind of want to share some, first of all, some ways that I think can be signs that we're not doing this, that we're not showing up fully alive to our lives, fully in our purpose, some subtle signs, and then what it looks like when you do and how transformative it is for all of us to do this, um, especially when things are hard. So, some of the ways that I notice this in myself and in other people is when we have kind of grown cynical. We get cynical about life. We get cynical about ourselves. We get cynical about our kids, about our marriage, about the world, about, especially right now, about the other people, the people who don't think like us or agree with us. We default to judgment instead of curiosity or compassion. I notice with a lot of women that I coach, we say things like, I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know what I want anymore. And it's just so much easier to live on autopilot where we feel busy, we're kind of living distracted, but it's not fulfilling to us. And a lot of times I have seen this in myself and in other people is we start outsourcing our worth to a job, to relationships, to our kids, instead of believing what God says about us, that we are his beloved. He's created us for a purpose and he's going to take care of us no matter what. I also find that it's so easy to just live to impress other people, to say the things that we think other people will be impressed with or agree with instead of living as our true, authentic selves. And I think also it's just so much easier to get swept up in such a divided world and forget that God put us here as believers to make manifest the glory of God, to be his love and his light in a dark world. I honestly, though, think the biggest truth is that it's not, for most of us women, in the women that I coach and that are in my community, for most of us, it's not the big obvious evils that dominate our minds so much. Sometimes the real enemy is closer to home. It's our addiction to negativity, our addiction to distraction, our addiction to living by default, our people pleasing of other people and not really standing in the calling that God has given to us. It's the endless scrolling that leaves us drained instead of alive. Like some of us just need to get off the internet and go play with babies and make some sourdough bread and go knitting, and or you do your knitting or go for a run or lift some weights, um, anything that where we can really start tending to ourselves so that we can better tend to the calling that God has given us. It's often rehearsing worst case scenarios until we feel like we're just living in constant fear all the time, numbing out with busyness instead of waking up to what is right in front of us to do. This is one of the reasons that over the last few years, I can't live on social media by the news cycle all the time. I just can't do that because I can't show up to my actual family, to my actual life and live out my actual calling. And I feel like before we know it, this autopilot kind of distracted way of living steals our years. It steals our days. And it's not because we don't care. It's because we've just gotten used to living this way. But we weren't created for that. We weren't created for numbness or distraction or default living. We were created to live fully alive. We were created by God, designed by him for purpose, for meaning. He infuses us with all of it we could ever hope for or want. And I think that that is why this conversation matters so much to me, because I see women be transformed by it. I see that when women, especially in midlife, when it's easy to check out, so many women, by the way, that are my age, kind of come to this phase in life where they're like, I've done my thing. I I've my best days are probably behind me. My kids are grown. I've done my thing. Let the other people take care of it now. And I think that's just the wrong way to think about it. I think as women in this phase of life, we have so much hard earned wisdom. We have so much left to give. We have so much to share that the world needs right now. It's time for us to really wake up to this amazing, beautiful, and brutal, difficult life we've been given. Now, a lot of times, what autopilot looks like to us, it can seem kind of benign, like, and I can see why we do it, honestly. I think back to periods of my own life where I've lived on autopilot and it was like a survival thing. And we have to do that sometimes. So if you're in a season of that and you're like, look, I can't come out of this anytime soon, bless you. We love you. Take good care of yourself. But as soon as you can, and I think we can do it sooner than we think, we've got to decide to live our lives on purpose. I think autopilot drains us. It drains our life energy. It drains us of the energy that we could be using to really live out the things that God has just for us to do. And it also looks like just recycling the same negative thoughts day after day. It's where our nervous system kind of gets stuck in stress mode, where we're never really resting. We're always feeling that stress. We're always reacting. We're always rushing. For a lot of us, it can feel like brain fog or fatigue or mood swings. That is often what it has felt like for me in the past. For sure, our relationships suffer when we're doing this because we're just going through the motions instead of being truly present for our lives and for ourselves and for the people in our lives. I think a lot of times spiritually, we start to feel numb. We're not awake to what God is doing right in front of us. We're not tender and sensitive to His word and to His calling on our lives. And I know this cycle well. For years, I feel like I did this, just kind of wake up tired, race through, kind of on autopilot, living distracted, collapsing into bed at night and wondering, why does this feel empty? Why do I feel like, what am I even doing with my life? I can remember days and nights like that. And I think it robs us of the miracle of today. Even on our hardest days, here we are with this person that God has placed right in front of us to love, to connect with, to care for. I think it steals our creativity. I think it steals our joy and our fire. And the longer we stay in that mode, the more disconnected we feel from ourselves, from God, from other people. So I have learned in the last, I would say, 10 years, the magic of living by design, the magic of being really wide awake to our lives, even on the hard days. It feels like waking up with intention. It feels like being on a lot of days really excited to wake up to your life because you've been given this calling, this vocation, this set of people to serve, these neighbors to love, this work to do. Sometimes it feels like waking up heavy hearted, but facing the day with courage and hope. I think you start really listening to, when you're awake and living by design, you start listening for the desires that God has called you to do, the things that you really want. I can remember for years feeling called to adopt. And then I can remember the years where I couldn't hear that. I was too wrapped up in my own heartache and in my own autopilot way of living that I couldn't even hear that desire. And I can remember the day when I woke back up to it. Like, oh, yeah, God put that on my heart years ago. So you start listening to that again instead of like the loud noise of maybe everyone's expectations of what social media portrays as, how people are and what's going on with the world. We have to really start listening to the things God is putting on our own hearts. I feel like my energy really shifted. I started to feel so much lighter. My emotions felt steadier. I could grieve more and have more joy. It's like it expanded my ability to experience my own emotional life. You just feel more awake. Your spirit is tender and awake. Um, Ordinary moments start to sparkle with meaning. You don't need big, amazing, what the world would call big, amazing things to happen. You can have joy and meaning and purpose in the small things, playing with your grandbabies, cooking dinner, folding laundry. I'm getting ready to meet my sister today, and I'm so excited about that. Well, whatever you're doing, those ordinary moments can just sparkle with meaning and purpose when you wake up to the miracle of your own life. And I feel like for me, it has given me so much more clarity about what I'm called to do and what I'm not called to do. So much more joy every single day. That is the difference in default living versus living by design. Are you living on autopilot or are you on purpose showing up to your life every day? And the truth is, we weren't created to live by default. We were created by design for purpose and for meaning. So if you've been feeling that stuck feeling of being on autopilot, it's because your soul is made for more. So I want to share 5 truths about purpose that I think might really help you shift something today. Number 1 is that purpose is God given. In Ephesians, it talks about you are God's workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works. All the little things that you are doing today, infused with purpose. All of those diapers you change, all of those meals you make, all of that homework you help your 12-year-old with. Ask me how I know. All of those little things that feel like they don't matter, they do matter. You were created full of purpose. And when you come to your everyday, ordinary task, remembering that everything feels like it's meaningful. It doesn't feel like, oh, I don't even know what my purpose is anymore. No, you feel it in everything you do because you're honoring that this is what God created you for. It's not like your purpose is some Where's Waldo or like an Easter egg that you need to hunt down. It's the DNA that God created you with. It's not somewhere outside, it's what he puts inside you. And the amazing thing is that neuroscience shows that people who live like this, awake and present, bringing purpose and meaning to everything they do, live longer and enjoy their lives so much more. The second thing is that feeling purposeful, because I have so many clients who come to me when they first get into my programs and say, I just don't feel like I have a purpose anymore. I just feel lost in this season. That feeling is an inside job, and that comes from your thoughts and beliefs about what you think purpose is and where you think it comes from. And it doesn't come from your circumstances. It doesn't come from having small kids in your house where it's easy to feel like you know what you're supposed to do. It comes from your thoughts right now about what you're bringing to your own life. And those thoughts and beliefs fuel your emotions and fuel the way you show up. So, are you bringing apathy, cynicism to your life, or are you bringing purpose and meaning? The question is, what are you bringing to it? We expect sometimes, I think, for jobs to give us that, or for our spouse to make us feel that way, or for our success to make us feel that way, or for our kids to make us feel that way. And they can never do that. It's an inside job that comes from your own thoughts and beliefs. So, can you agree with God that you were created by Him for these amazing things that you do? And it's not even so much the things that you do, but the way that you do it. I love this quote by Howard Thurman that says, don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go and do that. And I think there's some truth in that. We have forgotten what makes us come alive. We have forgotten that we're the ones who bring purpose and meaning to everything we do. And if you're feeling that purposelessness, it's because you stopped bringing that to what you're doing and to your own life. The third thing to remember, and I've alluded to this, but I want to expound on it just a little bit, is that it's not exactly the tasks that you're doing. It's who you are as you do them. So I often share this example in my coaching program, but I love spending time with my grandbabies. And when I go visit my 2 grandbaby boys, I go visit them and take care of them every Friday. I do have a sweet grandbaby girl that lives in Minnesota that we're going to see in a couple of weeks. So I love them all so much. And before I'm going to see them, I'm thinking about it. Like, how do I want to show up? What kind of energy do I want to bring to them? I'll think of fun things that we could do together, while we're together. It's not, and you could say to yourself, like, it would be easy to say, by the way, well, I'm just going to go watch my grandbabies this weekend. Or I could say, "Oh my gosh, I'm get to spend a whole day with these amazing, magical little human beings that are the funniest humans, that are so full of joy, that are so hilarious." I can show up with that kind of belief and thought and energy to what I'm doing. So purpose travels with you. If it can't fit into your everyday life, it's probably not even real purpose. It's how you show up to everything you do. Um if we stop trying to like do purpose and more just understand that we are purpose. Everything we do is infused with it if we do it with purpose and meaning and remember the big picture of what we're actually doing. That these are children of God that we are interacting with, no matter what we're doing, no matter what our job is, that He has brought these people together in our lives for a reason. Number 4, purpose multiplies when you put your feet to it. So I love thinking of it this way. Um, that because we can sometimes overthink everything, right? But clarity comes through action. Clarity comes through movement. So, how can you put your feet to it? How can you really walk it out in your everyday life? How can you carry it? Like I said, it's something that you bring with you. How can you bring it with you wherever you go? How can you show up to your next appointment? How can you show up to your dentist's office full of purpose and joy and meaning because you mean to show up that way to whatever you're doing? How can you show up to your grocery shopping that way? How can you show up to your marriage that way in situations where it's harder? How can you show up that way to people who don't agree with you, to people who God has called you to love, even though you have differing opinions on so many things? That purpose being multiplied, I think, especially as believers, through action, through movement, through how can we live this out? Start small. Then the fifth way that I will say is that we have to quit saying we don't know what our purpose is. When you say that, your body is the most incredible pharmacy on earth. So the things that your brain says, your body's listening and it's creating an internal environment that matches your thoughts. So when you say I don't know what my purpose is, you don't bring purpose to what you're doing and it feels purposeless. You don't bring meaning to what you're doing and it feels like it doesn't have meaning. Those sentences are powerful. So, what's the sentence that you're saying every day that's blocking you from showing up alive to your life, from showing up fully in your full fire and passion? What is the sentence that's holding you back that we can just rewrite that? I love the scripture. This is the main thing that my whole programs are built on. Romans 1 and 2, that if you want to change your life, renew your mind. You get to decide what you're going to think about and focus on today. And when you start living like everything you do is infused with purpose and meaning, that's the way your life will start to feel. Like it's all infused with purpose and meaning. And that's coming from you. It's not coming from external circumstances. So every time you say, I don't know, I don't feel purposeful, this doesn't have any meaning, you shut the door on this purpose that God has already planted inside of you. So, what new sentence can you practice? What if you decided, I just bring meaning and purpose with me wherever I go? Everywhere I show up, I bring it. And the last thing, kind of a bonus, is that purpose is meant to be shared. It's relational. It overflows into the impact and service and legacy that you leave. You're the light of the world. A city set on a hill can't be hidden. Your purpose isn't meant to be hidden in journals or kept for yourself. It's meant to bless your family, your community, your world. What's one way today that you can show up tangibly for the people in your life, for your marriage, for your kids, for your grandbabies, for people who are hurting, for um, yourself. It was never meant to stop with you, it flows through you. So, autopilot is draining us. We need to wake up to the magic of every single moment that God has given us. Every moment can drip with joy and purpose and meaning if we wake up to it. So, I hope that has been helpful for some of you today. I love you so much. I'm so thankful for my community. I pray God blesses you today. If you want to take this further, we are hosting our fall workshop next week, you guys. The whole thing is going to be about this. I can't wait. It's going to be about rediscovering your true identity, reigniting the desires that God's given you, how to learn how to live fully on fire in your own life again, living in creation mode instead of default mode, like so many of us have had seasons of living in. So we'll put the link below to have you join us. This could be such a powerful decision for you as you move into your next chapter. I can remember a workshop like this that I attended that changed everything for me. It's just a perspective shift, a way of seeing the world that's a little bit different. So, anyways, bless you. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And I hope to see you next week at our fall workshop. Oh, yeah. Thanks for asking. The link is ediewadsworthcoaching.com/design. Okay, everybody. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye for now.